In the first part of the video, we learned how to use the 8266 to take information off the internet. In this video, we're going to get the same 8266 to give information to the internet. We're going to use exactly the same code, but we're going to add elements of another code so as to use the BMP 180. So hook up the BMP 180 to the existing 8266. Select the I2C detect, making sure that you've selected the correct board and USB. If your SDA and SCL correspond to the same SDA, SDL on the display, you should get a new address, the 77 in my case. Once you've seen that it's working, it's time to install a new library. If you type in ThingSpeak, and that will allow your 8266 to communicate to the servers. And whilst you're doing this, it might be a good time to visit ThingSpeak.com. You'll need to sign up and then create a new channel. So give your new channel a name and a description, and then in field 1 just change that to temperature, as that will be the first value that we're collecting. Saving these new details should take you into the private view, and that's where the data is going to come through, and then the next part is to go to the API key and save that. Now we are using a new component, the BMP 180, so we're going to need to install those libraries as well. So if you go back to your Arduino IDE, then go to libraries, add the library Adafruit BMP 085, and if you can say yes to all the other dependencies, that would also be good. Now the code we're going to use is actually from a website, Random Nerd Tutorials, and it's been written by Rui Santos. So we're going to go through this code because it's actually for the BMP 280. So there's going to be a few changes that we need to make. I'll include the URL in the description, but it's actually on the ticker tape at the bottom of the screen now. And you're looking to take the code that's about halfway down the page. So if we click the View Raw Code, that should open another web page. If you just highlight that, create a new sketch in your Arduino IDE and just copy paste that entire code. Now that we can edit this code, we need to remove the things that we don't need and change the things that we do. And you can see straight away that on line 16 I should really be changing Adafruit BME 280 to Adafruit _ BMP 085. With the SSID and the password, we don't need those because that's already on the Weather Station sketch, and the ThingSpeak API would go in that API key, and if you've only got one channel, then you only need to call your channel number 1. Scrolling a little bit lower, we can see the Adafruit BME 280 BMA, and what we're going to do is change that to BMP 085 space BMP, and then with the void init BME, I'm going to change that to BMP as well. And of course with the serial print you could not find valid BME 280, just change that to BMP 180, but that doesn't matter if you've wired it up correctly. And as I'm changing the baud rate, I'm actually forgetting to change the init BME, which should also be init BMP, and I've changed the BMP.begin to match the I2C address. Go ahead and wherever you see BME, just change that to BMP. And when all that's done, it's time to start transferring the information from one sketch to the other. Now checking, we can see that we already have the ESP8266 Wi-Fi, so we don't need to do that. However, we do need the ThingSpeak and the newly corrected BMP 085. The next to be copied is the Wi-Fi client, and that is going to go before the end settings, and you can see that I'm starting to comment on where ThingSpeak stuff goes. I'm also copying over the API details. don't worry, I've changed my API. And then everything from the timer variables all the way down to create a sensor object goes on the other sketch as well. Now scrolling down on the weather station just to before where void setup comes up, I'm going to copy over the void init BMP. Now for this part we're going to be copying the void setup on the BMP sketch, but we're going to not include void setup, and we shouldn't really include the serial begin either because it's already been stipulated. So copy that and then put that into your next sketch, the weather station sketch, before the final bracket of the void setup, and you'll see that I then delete the serial begin. The last part is to take the void loop, and we're going to copy that part, and the same as before, we're just going to copy the things that we need. Now the first part, if millis, that's going to go in. The second part, reconnect the Wi-Fi, just sends it in an endless loop, so ignore that. And then if you copy over the get a new temperature reading and all the way down to that last bracket, and then you're going to paste that in before the last bracket on the weather station side. So make sure you've put your SSID details in, and your APIs and your password for your Wi-Fi, that you selected the 8266 and the serial USB, and then you can verify or push that out. Having a look at the serial monitor just to see if the 8266 is making connection and is uploading the temperature details. After some time you can see that it's very hot and it doesn't change, which is understandable. So this is that channel that you set up in that window on the ThingSpeak. So at the moment your 8266 is taking information from its environment and pushing it to the web. Moving on, we're going to go to channel settings, and we're going to add another field, and this field is going to be pressure. Once we've done that, we will save those details. We're going to go back to the original Random Nerds website, and we're going to go down to the very bottom of that page, and we're going to view the raw code. Now this code has been again slightly changed. It will send multiple fields. BMP 280 is able to measure humidity, but the BMP 180 isn't. So we're now going to go through and we're going to copy over, but we're only going to copy over pressure. We're going to leave the humidity alone. So starting at the top, let's copy over the float pressure, then scroll down and we can see where it's getting new temperature reading. We're going to take those three lines with pressure and we're going to dump them there underneath where we had the temperature. And whilst you're doing that, remembering to change any BME to BMP on the way. I'm now going to go and copy the field values, and because it's taking 3 measurements and we're only taking 2, I'm going to remove that field 3 and replace it with field 2. And now the last part is to just state that we're writing to multiple fields and not one field. So we're just going to make those following changes there, where we add an S, remove the 1, remove the temperature, and I guess the last part would just be to take the programmer's name and include that at the beginning, just to give a nod. And then after a quick verify and push, I say quick, it took nearly 15 minutes, we will have a look at the serial monitor, go to the ThingSpeak website just to check that everything's being uploaded, and then we're just going to check to see, are we still gathering information from the weather app itself, and we are. Well, good.